It took me a while to start and actually finish doing this video because this story bothered me so much. It's not sitting well with me at all. My condolences to the Wade family.
He was my only son. And I would have never thought this had happened to him.
As far as Betterson Wade knew, her son Dexter went missing on March 5th. After she reported his disappearance to the Jackson, Mississippi Police Department, they continually told her they weren't able to find him. So she began searching for him herself, posting updates on social media and regularly calling to see if the police had any updates. After 172 days of searching, she finally got a heartbreaking answer. As it turned out, Dexter had been hit and killed by a police officer less than an hour after he left his mother's house. And even though his body had been identified, no one bothered to tell her until 6 months later. To make matters worse, because they waited so long to tell her that her son was dead, he was buried in a pauper's grave, marked only by a small sign that listed it as a grave number 672. Considering the Wade family's history with the Jackson Police Department, you also have to wonder if this was personal.
What is even more outrageous is the fact that Miss Dexter Wade is the named plaintiff in a wrongful death lawsuit against the Jackson Police Department for killing her brother, who had a stroke, had been at the hospital 10 days, and they body slammed him and killed him. Our officer was convicted and imprisoned for killing her brother. She had been doing interviews. She had been to court every day through 2 criminal trials. They had depositions in the civil suit. They absolutely knew who Dexter Robinson Wade was. And Miss Wade believes they intentionally did not come to her house to notify her about her son, because she felt that they were afraid that there was going to be another wrongful death lawsuit against the Jackson Police Department, because the officer who hit her was in his Jackson Police Department issued vehicle. There's a question whether he was on duty or not. They say he was not on duty, but because on March 5th, when they hit and killed him, they never told Miss Wade or her family anything. They cannot accept this with a leap of faith. You kill my brother, and then you try to deny doing anything wrong there. You deny the wrongful death lawsuit. Now you kill my son, and you don't tell me for 6 months that you killed my son.
The officer who killed Dexter was not declared at fault for the fatal crash. Wade was reportedly walking across a 6-lane highway when he was hit, and his death was ruled accidental.
Truth. All you have to do is be honest with me. That's all I had asked. I just asked, help. Would you help me? I'm not trying to do nothing wrong, because I done gave y'all the benefit of the doubt, because I came to y'all. If I figure y'all did something to him, why would I come to you?
I noticed in the article that they conveniently added that, as if it mattered, that a toxicology report later showed that he had meth and PCP in his system. I don't care if he was laying in the road. If it was truly an accident, they could have found and contacted his mother. Nothing was stopping them from knocking on her door, which is why it doesn't look like an accident to me, in my opinion.
Say, this is a vendetta. or this is intentionally. It is intentionally.
Betterstein Wade believes the Jackson Police Department deliberately withheld information from her for 5 months about what happened to her son. Dexter Wade was struck and killed by an off-duty officer in a patrol car as he was walking near the interstate. That happened in March. Wade was buried in a pauper's grave before his family found out where his remains were.
He was my only son. And I would have never thought this had happened to him. Nobody could have even told me in my sleep that that's what happened to him.
As I've heard it described, the cop killing cover-up case. And it's important that we understand it from the family's perspective.
Speaking at a Monday morning news conference, prominent civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, representing Wade, suggested there's a connection to the long delay in the family finding out about Wade's death and another case involving Betterstein Wade's brother, George Robinson. Prosecutors say the 62-year-old Robinson died after he was body slammed and assaulted by 3 Jackson police officers in 2019.
I think so, because what other reason would you think that we go through 6 months and they don't tell me who my son is? Is it hard? Is it hard for them to connect dots?
Her brother beaten to death right out here. Her son hit and thrown off in the grave. Now, I wanted to tell you, did they know? Did they know who he was? Did they know who she was?
The coroner identified Wade about 3 days after he was struck and killed near McDowell Road and I-55. They found Wade's name on a pill bottle in his pocket, which led to the Hines Behavioral Health Clinic.
We have a record here from the coroner that we will share with you all.
According to case notes, the coroner did have Wade's mother's phone number and address. Between March and June, the coroner called JPD 7 times to ask whether the family had been notified that the body was in the morgue.
If they really wanted to notify her that the police officer had hit and killed her son when he crossed the street, they could have came in, knocked on the door.
According to Wade, she filed a missing persons report about her son and even asked police several times to check the morgue.
And they still missed it? What kind of system do we work up under? Do you think about the system here? Do we have a system that works for us?
City officials say what happened to Wade was an unfortunate, tragic accident, and their investigation found no malicious intent by JPD staff.
Justice for Dexter Wade.
Justice
for Dexter Wade.
Crump now plans to petition a local court to get Wade's body exhumed so the family can have an independent autopsy done and then give him a proper burial.
And while the investigator for the coroner's office didn't find an ID at the scene, he did find a bottle of prescription medication that he was able to use to identify Dexter. He was also able to find contact information for next of kin and claims he called Betterson on March 8th, but she says she doesn't remember receiving a phone call. The next day, Dexter's identity was confirmed when his fingerprints matched the ones they had on file. The investigator claims that he had gave Betterson's phone number and address to the department's accident investigation squad so they could let her know what happened, except no one ever did. Every time she called the missing persons investigators, they told her they had no updates. Not until new investigator took over the case. 11 days later, the new investigator called Betterson to tell her she'd found Dexter and that an officer would be coming to speak with her in person. It's a tragic story, and so far, no one has been able to explain why it took so long for the Jackson Police Department to notify Dexter's family of his death despite having the necessary information.
He was my only son. And I would have never thought this had happened to him.
Betterstein Wade says she last saw her son Dexter on March 5th when he left home after an argument. Days later, Wade reported him missing to the Jackson Police Department. Wade said she spent months following up and searching the city for her son, even asking for help online.
He just disappeared off the face of earth and nobody knew where he was. None of his friends, nobody.
What she didn't know was that Dexter was already dead and buried in a grave marked with only a number at a cemetery outside a county prison.
All the time, he was right down there in the morgue. All they had to say was, Miss Wade, your son is in the morgue.
According to his death certificate, Dexter was killed on March 5th, less than an hour after he left home, when he was accidentally struck by an off-duty officer driving a Jackson police SUV near an interstate exit. Wade says police told her about the incident on August 24th, nearly 6 months after his death.
Give me a reason to really, why y'all did not contact me? Why y'all didn't knock on my door?
Wade said a coroner identified Dexter from a prescription medication that he was carrying and received the next of kin information from a medical clinic. According to Wade, the coroner was unable to reach her, but she was told Jackson police tried to contact her several times. Wade says she never received a call.
It was, in fact, an accident and that there was no malicious intent.
Jackson's mayor addressed Wade's case last week.
There was a lack of communication with the Missing Persons Division, the coroner's office, and accident investigation.
Wade's frustration with the city runs deep. Last year, a jury convicted a Jackson police officer of manslaughter and the beating death of her brother.
It was intentional that they did not contact her.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is now representing the Wade family.
We're going to petition the court to have his body exhumed and have a independent autopsy performed, and then give him a proper funeral for his mother and his daughters and his family.
This is Gail at Night. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for supporting. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and set the bell to all.